All right, guys, this is going to be a special session that I'm doing for my YouTube channel because I want to do a little bit more of some advanced stuff. And I was actually having a problem figuring out how to do LTV, which we're going to get into, guys, but it's definitely a very popular measurement of success of a company. Lifetime value is something that's recorded. It's very important in the tech world, the tech industry that I used to be in. You guys know I'm building Dispatch. It's an app that I'm working on. So LTV is very common in subscription-based products, lifetime value, how much that customer's worth, but I couldn't figure out how to calculate LTV in a home services business. And so I posted in one of the Facebook groups and I saw Xavier, which I'm going to have him introduce himself in a minute, guys, but he responds to a lot of people in the Facebook groups and I can tell that he knew what he was talking about. So he interested me. I reached out to him on Facebook and I was just like, hey man, I would love to understand how you get LTV. And he actually broke LTV down a lot more sophisticated than I originally expected. I thought he was going to have it just like, yeah, just take this, this, and this, and you're done. But he had 4 different formulas. He's averaging them. We talked about customer acquisition costs, which is really important, guys. CAC is very important. In the beginning, if you're just hustling yard signs, obviously you don't need to overthink in what I like to call analysis to paralysis, where you overthink too much, you don't do anything. You guys don't need to worry about LTV right away. You don't need to worry about CAC. You just need to get on the fucking field, make some money. But as you start spending money on ads, Thumbtack, Yelp, Google, this stuff is very important because you might be losing money and you don't even know it. So anyways, guys, I hope that quick intro helps out. And Xavier, thank you so much for explaining LTV to me, how you do it. And why don't you tell my people who you are, what you do, and we'll dive in.
My man, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate the opportunity to be here on your channel. So I really respect, everything you have done. I check all your, your YouTube videos, the content, and it's very impressive, what you've been doing for the industry. I respect that. I admire that. You have, great communication skills, so I really respect that, brother. So I'm Xavier. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not from US. I'm Venezuelan, a Latino.
I can't tell that you have an accent.
So yeah, I'm Latino. I came to US in 2014, literally with nothing but dreams in the luggage. Pregnant wife, no money at the beginning. I started in the industry. Actually, it was my first job after being rejected by a national franchise. I'm not gonna name it, multiple times. So they hired me, and then I was just working my way up to general manager.
What do you mean they rejected you, then hired you? Or sorry,
yes, they did. Yeah, they did reject me just because I didn't have the language. Okay. I was just barely communicating. My documentation was not on point by that time, so I had to.
But you did end up eventually getting a job in the junk removal industry.
Yes, that was my first job, just my first job, and I'm super glad. I looked that ad on Craigslist. By the way, Craigslist is super good to hire people. So yeah, they reject me. It was very heartbreaking for me because my wife was pregnant. We were literally sleeping on a friend's floor for 3 or 4 days after they kicked out of the house. I mean, basically trying to look for an apartment or some place to stay. So as you can tell, it's very hard, when you have a wife. After working in Venezuela for a chemical engineering company, basically a state oil company. I'm an engineer. I pretty much lost my time doing that. I worked like 2 years in the oil field industry, and then I just realized I didn't like it. After being literally in a workstation lifestyle type of office, working 9 to 5, never in my life I thought I was going to move a chair, not even the desk chair, and I end up just hauling junk and being a transfer station, landfill. So as you can tell.
So you were on the labor side of things too in the beginning.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
So they hired me as a wingman, like a helper. Yeah, I stayed there for several months. I was getting paid below the minimum wage, very little. Don't do that with your guys.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't have the language. So
they offered you less money because you were not in a position.
Correct.
So
correct.
they tried to get away with murder.
Yes. Correct. So I moved myself to being a captain, the truck driver, talking to the clients. After I learned a little bit of English, or basically I was doing a kind of like a script in my mind. Every time I was talking to people, I was very terrified because, man, it's the first time talking to a Native American. Like right. There is no subtitles right here.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then my previous manager back in those days, he ended up getting a better job position. There were like 14, 15 guys in the office. And he called me up and said, hey, Xavier, I want you to be the next ops manager. And it was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. And say, why? I don't have the skills. I don't have, the English. I can barely communicate with people. And man, so that
he wanted you to be ops manager.
Yes.
Wow.
So I noticed for the last 2-3 months before he quit the job, I noticed Ron, by the way, his name, Ron, he got me inside in his truck, just basically going with him to jobs, and he was literally training me. So after he left, he said, hey, I already trained you. You know how to do this. So let's rock and roll. I didn't believe that I was able to do that, and I made a lot of mistakes.
Where did you learn all these technical analysis stuff and the math and all
that?
So
yeah. So after they promote me to be a business consulting for them, just like a ramp-up coach for new franchisees, I had to start learning a lot of stuff because one thing is managing guys, other thing is managing the business. Never in my life I had managed a business. Never. Not even numbers. But I really, I felt very passionate about numbers, especially Excel and technical stuff, just because of probably my background, to trying to apply a lot of numbers into stuff. It really caught my attention that a lot of stuff in the industry were kind of like off sometimes, and I just decided to automate a little bit some of the stuff like payroll and operation, doing some software here and there.
Yeah.
That's basically how I got into the marketing space, and that's actually what I'm doing right now. But before being here, I was working also for their competition for another franchise. Then after that, I opened my business with two friends, and then we franchised that business for 3 locations. I exit the business, 1 location failed, I exit the business, and now I'm doing this.
Wow. So you started as a labor worker, they underpaid you, you did so well, they promoted you to ops manager, then they promoted you to a consultant,
to GM.
Yes.
And then to the consultant.
Then you did consulting.
Yes.
And then you decided to finally go and do your own business. You did 2 locations. 1 location failed. The other location is still running today. You exited. And here we are now where I found you on Facebook groups, which is with Junkify. And why don't you let everybody know? Go ahead and plug your business. What do you, honestly, you just impressed me with all your stuff. So what do you do?
So, honestly, man, so right now, I'm just going to be super honest, super transparent with you. I started this business a little bit over 1.5 years ago, literally, 0 clients. Right now, we don't have that many clients. We have probably 6 clients and no more than that. Not because I don't want to take more clients right now. It's just that we were in the phase of building the product, building the services, trying to do the stuff right. Because I've seen that, in the industry sometimes, some people, they lack of work ethic and lack of integrity. So I'm not the type of person that I'm going to lie to people. I will just tell you. If I can help you, it's because I know. That's the reason why we have just right now 6 clients. We're going to start opening for more clients for the next month for sure. What we do is basically we team up with literally junk removal business owners to help them with the marketing, operations, and lead generation, the whole customer acquisition, as well as business consulting.
Okay. What type of marketing do you help junk removal customers?
So 2 types of marketing, offline marketing and online marketing. So offline marketing meaning any strategy that is not online presence, and online marketing, any paid platform, paid advertising platforms.
Any, or just like mostly Google, or do you like any?
Any will be TikTok, YouTube ads, Facebook ads.
Wait, do you know how to run Facebook ads?
Yes.
And actually get ROI on Facebook ads?
Yes.
You and I need to talk after this. I'm working. Okay, so everybody knows me on my channel as the guy who's just cranked Google ads, and I try to be transparent about how to run Google ads. I do vouch for this guy. He knows his stuff. So if you have any questions at all, please contact Xavier. I'll leave his info. This is not a paid plug. This whole presentation, guys, is for you to understand LTV. We just did a little freestyle mini interview.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's awesome. So to recap, you said you cover business, consulting, marketing. Say it one more time, everything that
So business consulting, marketing, operations.
Okay, cool. So pretty much on how to just succeed and grow your business.
Correct.
Cool. Right on. That's awesome. I don't sell any services. I have a course, just a little course down below. It's not even that expensive, but if you ever want to take the leap, I'm never going to offer my services. It's just not what I'm going to do. So if you guys want more help, I trust this guy above me. Xavier knows his stuff.
I appreciate it, man.
And
thank you so much.
Yeah, man. I'm looking really forward to diving into LTV, guys. So I know we spent the last 13 minutes chit-chatting. Let's just jump into LTV. and I'll just ask questions and we
By
just
the way, believe it or not, this is the first time I'm on camera.
wait, is this going to be the first time that actually this will like go out to the public?
Yes.
Oh shit. Well, hey.
Yes.
Wait, so normally you're just like one-on-one with clients, right?
Yes, just one-on-one, trying to
Okay,
work here and there,
cool.
but yeah.
So, all right, guys, let's rock and roll with LTV.
All right. First of all, I mean, we just need to get a definition of LTV. So in simple words, LTV, lifetime value, or customer lifetime value. So what it does is literally it tells your business how much money can you potentially get from a client throughout the entire relationship with your business. We understand that this is not a recurring service, so you can definitely get an LTV for a recurring service client, which is super simple to do. But when it comes to a home service, it's kind of difficult at the beginning to comprehend how are you going to predict how many years, how many months a client is going to potentially stay with you. Because the thing is that, by the way, since you're building your software, a lot of this software, they don't calculate LTV. They don't have good data, good metrics. And to me, it is very necessary for the industry to have a lot of metrics, a lot of data, a lot of numbers, because there is no way you can compare a home service software with a real software that can actually comprehend your industry. So junk removal is nothing fancy, but of course, I mean, they have their stuff, which is very particular from the industry. So LTV is one of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, and to piggyback real quick, what he was saying, and I told you guys why my software is going to be there's a lot of things I can go on and on about features, but one of the big things lacking, like he just said, is there's numbers like data like LTV and something as simple as CAC, customer acquisition costs. These are numbers that should be on your dashboard that you can track for the day, the month, the year, whatever. And all we have on our dashboard is average job size and sales for today. That's not enough data. But anyways,
I use like 6 software already, and none of them, brother, none of them have this important metric, which is LTV. I'm going to just separate something here in this conversation about LTV and ROAS. Some people confuse ROAS and LTV or ROI, return on ad spend, or return of investment. But when it comes to LTV, ROAS is basically a fancy metric that a lot of marketers, they use just to prove that their stuff works. That's it. Now, from their word to your bank account is a huge gap. They can tell you that your ads are doing 5x right now, 8x, 20x, but that doesn't mean that your bank account is going to represent what he's saying. So when it comes to LTV, we're taking in consideration, like you said, Andrew, CAC, customer acquisition cost. We're taking consideration how much money you're spending in sales to basically materialize that particular lead into a paid client. You're basically taking consideration costs, basically cost of a good sold.
Oh, real quick, before I forget, the LTV that you're doing, the calculation, is COGS in there?
Correct.
Okay.
Imply.
Wow. Okay.
Imply. So basically you have your COGS. COGS basically represent how much money the business needs to expend in order for you to get a paid client. I'm gonna actually share my screen so I can show you something here. All right, so this is the spreadsheet that I created a few months ago. By the way, this is our actual number for a franchise location. It's a client of ours. It's a franchisee that is actually have the data for basically the entire year. So I'm gonna just discuss these numbers with you guys so you can see it.
Let me just ask, if these are real numbers, in your experience, is his LTV average? Is it good? Is it great? The CAC, LTV to CAC ratio and the average LTV, is this considered good, great, excellent?
It is really, really good. A little bit above the average. So I'm going to talk about that sometimes above the average is not that good and below the average is not that good either. So there's a sweet spot. Disclaimer, my English is not that perfect, so I'm going to try to do my best.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So LTV. So these are the variables that we need to get in order for us to calculate LTV. So we need number of paid customer. That's something that basically everybody in this industry should have. If not, get a software to do that, or Android software when it's ready. So then you need total revenue. If you don't know how to do this, basically all the sales as a revenue.
Yep.
You need a number of paid jobs. Check this out. This is the difference between number of paid jobs and number of paid customers. So you can have 100 or 1,000 paid customer and probably 1,500 paid jobs. In other words, you have more jobs than customer. That means that the average purchase frequency is not 1. Basically, you have more jobs than customers. Those customers has been purchasing your services more than once.
So guys, this is a very simple metric number that is not recorded in Workies or House Call Pro, which I'm going to be implementing this into my software. It's a very important number. Knowing yes, you can try to track your repeat customers, but manually that's going to be a pain, especially as you're growing and scaling. But this is a starting metric that, how do I say, I just wish I had this because I'm doing so many jobs a day. It's such a simple thing. How many repeats every month am I getting? I don't know. But anyways, continue.
100%. So actually, I didn't say something about this spreadsheet. So this was inspired by, there's a guy, his name is Abhinash Kaushik. He's actually one of the chief strategy officers of one of the most successful marketing companies. And actually, he did a paperwork for Starbucks because he wanted to calculate the Starbucks LTV. So this is the actual PDF he created. It's a blog, so where he calculates the LTV. He's the author of Web Analytics 2.0. That's a book. It's very good. So this is a case study with Starbucks. So I got inspired from this article to create the LTV. I can give you the URL so you can check it out later.
Cool.
So we have the number of paid jobs, we have the total revenue, we have the paid customers. So we defined this already. Let's go to get into more specific. Total spend on offline marketing and online marketing. So before diving into this topic, I want to say something. Why it's important to calculate LTV? Why it's important that metric? Because if you don't have that metric, chances are you probably don't know if you are overspending on marketing, underspending, or not spending it properly. I'm going to just define this for you guys. So total dollar spent on offline marketing and online marketing. So inside this number is the addition of advertising dollars, payroll for the marketing department, sales department payroll divided by the new customer over the same period of time. This is the total money for this period of time. You can define the period of time you want to calculate your LTV.
Total money spent on marketing, your payroll, like paying the truck drivers, counts as in that?
No, just any expenses from payroll that is concerning to generating your leads.
Phone sales.
Managing, yes, correct.
Phone sales, okay.
Acquisition, just acquisition.
So if I was answering the phone still and I'm the owner, we wouldn't count me because I'm the owner. But
correct.
Now that I have operators doing the sales, I would count my operators closing the sales.
100%. Yeah,
okay,
they have to be included there because they are an expenses that you are using for us to generate an opportunity for your business. This number, right? So you do the addition, there you have it. So then you have the customer retention rate. To calculate customer retention rate, so it's a little bit a formula here, but it says here, in the junk removal business, you can use the following formula. Customer retention rate equal to the number of customer at the end of a specific period minus the number of new customer acquired during that period divided by the number of customer at the start of that period, or example, beginning of the year, and then you do times 100. So that's customer retention. In other words, there are some people that they say it repeat client or repeat percentage rate.
Right. Same thing.
Correct. So some software, they can have it. Some of them, they don't have it.
This is the data I want to show in Dispatch. Data like this, because this is useful data.
Correct. Basically, customer retention. So we define it with the letter R. So then you have the gross profit margin per customer. I'm not going to go into these, but I can tell you how to calculate it. So gross profit margin. So basically, you take into consideration revenue, CAC, COGS, and then you have your gross profit margin. So if you don't know how to calculate CAC, COGS, and revenue, so that's something that you need to find out.
And we'll save that for another video, guys. Yeah. Maybe I'll do another video with Xavier from Junkify, but yes, continue.
Correct. And then you have the new customer acquired over the same period of time. Usually they are the same number of paid client or paid customer. A52. That's it. That's all you need. And then you need just the formulas. Before going to the formula, I'm going to tell you what we need to calculate first before we collect the information from the LTV. So we need the average job size. The average job size, basically, you divided the revenue by the number of paid clients that you have gotten through the whole period, that period of time. Then you have the average job size, average ticket, average sales ticket, you name it. Then you need average purchase frequency rate, which is the letter C. Calculate this number by dividing the number of purchases or job close by the number of unique customers who made purchases during that period of time. In other words, you divide the number of paid jobs by the number of paid customers, and then you have 1.12 frequency rate.
Quick question for you. In short, that's kind of like your repeat customer rate. Like
correct.
They come back 1.1 times. So
correct.
Cool. Yeah. And that's another important number I wish that I could have on my dash. You know what I mean? I can't wait till all this shit is automated, guys, and I have all this stuff in dispatch. I'm going to be working closely with Xavier on dispatch numbers. I'm really excited, but I don't want to go too much in a tangent. So keep going.
Perfect. So then we have the average customer value, which is the letter A. The average customer value, you calculate this number by multiplying the average purchase value by the average purchase frequency rate. Then you need the average gross margin per customer lifespan. This is the average margin per customer lifespan equal to the average customer value, which is the letter A, times the gross profit margin per customer. So that's why it's very important to have a gross profit margin. So if you don't know your gross profit margin, chances are you don't know your LTV. If you don't know your average job size, chances are you don't know the LTV. If you don't have your purchase frequency rate, or like Andrew, he said, the repeat client rate, you can calculate the LTV.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure, brother.
I always have to ask because I have ADD and I'll forget. Technically speaking, would you say the average customer value in A, would that almost be considered a bare bones LTV?
Pretty much.
It's not the whole picture.
I haven't thought it like that, but you're right. So it's right, pretty much
that technically would be lifetime value, but that's not considering everything else that you're doing down there with COGS and marketing, all that stuff.
Correct. By the way, that's great to know. So
a very rudimentary LTV base. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, because for example, if you have 10 clients and then you have 15 pay jobs and then you have your frequency rates 1.5, your average job size 450 times 1.5, and then you have the average customer value.
And you just multiply those two, you got your basic LTV, but I like how you don't stop there and you go like deep.
Yeah, deeper. Yeah. So then we have the average customer lifespan. This is a very good question that I ask myself. And to be honest with you, I stay in this particular number about 60 days trying to figure it out how to calculate this number. So I got two different theories of calculating the average customer lifespan. I'm going to read it to you how I found out about this. This is the quality definition, and I'm going to say the quantity definition. So the quality definition, it says, according to the 2007 data of the government, once the average person reaches the age of 18 years old, they are likely to move at least another 9.1 times. You can look it up from the government, and it says 9.1 times in their remaining lifetime, compared to just 2.7 more move once a person reaches 45 years old. If an 18 years old is expected to make 9.1 move in their remaining lifetime, and a person at 45 years old is expected to make 2.7 more move, we can assume a linear decrease in the number of move as individual age. So the difference in move between the age of 18 and 45 is 9.1 minus 2.7, that's 6.4 move. So now, to estimate the average decrease in move per year during this period, we can divide this difference by the number of years. So basically, it calculates how many times potentially somebody can move in the United States compared to their age and their demographic, and it's around 1.7, it's around 2. That's basically how you calculate. If you acquire one client today, potentially you will serve that client for up to 2 years.
You took that, what was it, ACS data? What ACIS data?
Yes. So here you can check it out.
You took the ACS data and kind of made your hypothesis, or whatever you want to call it. I love that, man. That's very interesting. I've never seen that. That's very unique.
Yeah. So because actually our target clients are above 35 years old, potentially the best clients. So you can get the data over 35 years old people, how they're likely going to be moving out from their places. You can have the average customer lifespan of 2 just by just saying that.
It gives you a good metric to just go by. It gives you something to work with, having moving data like that. So I really like that.
Then we have the CAC. So the CAC, the customer acquisition cost, you get the advertising dollars of the marketing department payroll, sales department payroll, you divide it by the number of new customers, and then you have the CAC.
If you like this talk that I'm having and you like hearing the metrics and the details and the analytics and the data, and you guys like this stuff and you want me to do another video talking about customer acquisition costs, maybe diving deep into average job size and why these numbers are important, you got to comment, you got to like, you got to subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm. So please say, yes, do another video with Xavier. Say anything, just mention Xavier. It lets me know, it lets him know that you guys like the content I'm putting out and that you'd like another video with him. Back to the video.
I forgot to mention something about the average customer lifespan. There's another way to calculate how many years that particular customer is going to stay with you. Like I said, this is the quality version of the customer lifespan. But there's another one that I find out on some textbooks. It has to be close to the customer retention rate. So the opposite of the customer retention rate is basically churn. But we don't have churn in the industry because this is not a recurring service. But we can potentially say that if the customer retention rate is 36%, the remaining to 100, so will be 64. 64 will be the number of customers that are not engaging with you again. You do a simple math by taking the number 1 divided by 0.64 or the 64%, and then you do 1.56, close to 2. And that's how you calculate the lifespan.
So if you want to be very conservative, you can use that method. If you want to be more conservative, churn is a very common calculation in subscription-based tech products. It really just means the fall off of customers. For example, for a fitness app, if they're subscribed to a fitness app, they buy it and they only subscribe for 1 month, their churn is fucking horrible. Netflix, their churn is probably off the charts because you stay subscribed forever. So their churn is probably low. They probably never cancel. So that's very interesting how you calculate churn in this business. That's very awesome, Xavier. I love it.
I appreciate that, man. So yeah, so once we have the variables, if you change something here on this end, this will change. And as a consequence, your LTV will change. Now, let's talk about the formulas. I'm not going to go into very detail about the formula. These are the formulas that I found. I add another formula, which is the simplified LTV equation. But check this out. Some of them, they are different LTV calculations. So you can say this is the $816 LTV, $391 difference, $141, $350. What is the correct one? So I found it's very gray area. However, if you can average, you can get basically the juice out of all those 4 and you compile into just one, which is your average LTV. And your average LTV, in this case, for this particular franchise location is $424, almost $425 LTV. So you have the LTV, and now you want to calculate the LTV to CAC ratio. And I will tell you why it's very important, that particular metric, and why it's important to have your average LTV for a period of time. You can say, if me and Andrew, we are in a business together, we're talking about, hey man, should we invest more money into marketing? Let's check if our CAC is higher than the average LTV. Man, we're not doing good. We should have our LTV higher than the CAC. Otherwise, we're just burning money. So there's a relationship between LTV and CAC. So your LTV, CAC, this is just a simple ratio where you take in consideration LTV and your CAC, and that's 3.8. Okay, Xavier, what is 3.8? So what do I do with this? Very simple. The ideal LTV ratio is 3-to-1. In other words, you want your company to generate 3 times more money that you could spend on acquiring new customer. It's very simple. If your LTV is lower than your CAC or your CAC, you're burning money for sure. I mean, you don't want to burn money. And now you ask yourself, why my offline and online marketing, why am I making money? Probably you're not considering a lot of these metrics that we have discussed today. But if you are considering your metric, if you are a business owner who is actually calculating your stuff in a monthly basis or at least quarterly basis, you can have a better understanding on your budgeting for your future marketing investment. Marketing is not expense, it's an investment.
So what would you say? I think I saw it up there, but what is the lowest LTV to CAC ratio you'd want?
I want my LTV close to 3, at least 3, if it's possible, 3.
At least 3. So 3.8 is great then.
Yes, correct. Now check this out. If your LTV is higher, way higher than your CAC, in this case, your company generates more money and more revenue than it spent on customers acquisition, which means your business is profitable. Now, if your LTV CAC ratio is super high, let's say 4-to-1 or 5, you might be underspending on sales and marketing. Now you're a very conservative business owner who's like, man, I don't know if I should spend more. I'm good already. Probably you're underspending, which is good if you don't want to grow. But if you want to grow, you have to spend money. There is a quote that I really love from Ben Kennedy. He's a great marketer. He said, whoever spends the most money to acquire clients wins. So you have to spend money to acquire clients, but not that much and not a little.
Make sure the ratio is right, then increase spending.
Correct. And then, you just calculate your LTV CAC ratio and you can have some graph that you can see the trend that is going down, especially your LTV CAC should be moving a little bit during the month of the summertime and should be lower during the off season. So that's how you can see and monitor. If you see your LTV CAC is 2 or 1.5, that's a big issue. So you have to make sure either you are getting multiple variables right. For example, you can increase LTV artificially. I put it down here, all the reasons, by increasing revenue. Oh, it's very simple. It's not simple to increase revenue, but it's a skill that you have to learn. Reducing churn or reducing the amount of times your customer doesn't engage with you. So there's multiple ways you can stimulate your customer data to get them alive again. Increase retention, increase average job size, increasing gross profits, and reducing CAC, reducing CAC.
That's awesome. I love that little where it says, let's increase LTV, all these tips. It shows you which department needs adjusting to increase the LTV artificially or whatever, however you say it. But that's very cool.
So yeah, there's a lot of department involved, and you as a business owner, you need to make sure that you know your numbers. Don't let anybody run you the numbers by you. You have to understand your number, and the number needs to make sense. I really love numbers, not because I really love doing math. I love numbers because it gives you an interpretation of something. Like when you go to a doctor, you get a blood test. You know if you're doing bad or good. So who's taking the blood test for our industry or for our businesses?
Yeah,
we are the doctors. So we have to do this in a regular basis if we want to grow and expand our businesses.
I love that analogy. That's awesome. And I love that just seeing those list of ideas of increasing LTV, like, hey, increasing retention, reducing churn, which department, that just, that kind of sparked an idea in my head too. So that's really awesome. I love that. That was informative for me. And I'm a numbers guy. I've been a programmer my entire life. Programming isn't always just numbers. Programming is problem solving. But when it comes to software like this, yeah, you need to know some basic math. I hope you got value from this because I sure as hell did. And I know a lot of you might be just starting, but this is still beneficial to you guys because you can start monitoring everything from the beginning. Log your expenses. Don't commingle your funds with your business bank account. Track everything. Make sure you use your business card so you can track your incoming and your outgoing expenses, and you can have a healthy profit and loss statement. You can understand your business health. And then more sophisticated, you guys can start keeping these numbers in mind so you know what you need to start tracking so you can do stuff like this. So if you guys don't want to do all this shit and you're growing, reach out to Xavier. If you guys like this, you know the drill. Please let me know in the comments down below. Xavier, do you have any last?
No, actually, off cameras, the other day we were talking and, you showed me your numbers, and now I understand, why you are not in the truck right now. So you are paying attention to your numbers. So you are a person who is literally a freak with your numbers. And I think that's a great success for any business owner that wants to potentially grow your business and do whatever you want to do. Know your numbers.
And I'm going to be completely honest with you. My numbers are not this sophisticated, but I have a good idea because I track my data and I track my numbers every single day. I have a daily P&L where I log everything and I see my profit and loss for the day. I know my CAC. I don't have them as sophisticated in formulas as you, but I'm definitely going to be putting it into dispatch.
For this type of businesses, for junk removal, if you want to literally exponentially grow very, very quickly, just knowing these metrics that matters, the MTMs, there are other metrics that doesn't matter that much, but there are some others that really matters. So you can literally unlock leads on demand on your business just because you know how much money you're spending, how much you're closing, how much is your average job size, how much you're making off of each client. So there is no way why you cannot literally turn on that flow of money because you have to invest in marketing to make money. Yeah. That's basically my final thoughts right there.
I want to say thank you so much, Xavier. That was amazing. The wealth of information and knowledge that you have. It's a lot to digest, guys, I know. But if you're interested in what Xavier has and you maybe want to ask him about his consulting because he obviously knows what he's talking about, where can they find you, Xavier?
So it's Junkify.com. The website is being revamping. We'll be live in the next 7 to 10 days. So I just want to let you guys know, but you can find me Instagram, Xavier Caldera, or on Facebook, so you can find me.
So you can follow him on Instagram and check out his website. Is Instagram and your website the best?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Xavier, I leave you with this, and everybody else out there, I leave you with this as well. Success is often covered in dirt, but so is gold at one point.
Amen.
Noodles.